All right, Nate. Let me see your salad. I'm gonna make sure you understand this multiverse thing.
Banner, if you put barbecue sauce on my salad one more time, I'm gonna kick you in your nuts.
I I think you got the gist of it. And also, it paired well with that vinaigrette. So get off my back. Welcome into the Bro 4 Squad podcast. We're here to give you guys another world famous review on episode 2 of Loki, called The Variant, I believe. I didn't actually look it up. I'm just going off of memory, but I think I'm right.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it's
That's
called.
right. I am Brian Banner. With me today is Nate Thurman, and let's get right into it. Nate, episode 2, acting cast of our 5 criteria. Go.
I think we only have 4 criteria.
And we have yes, you're right. Whatever.
I was about to say, I was like, have we been doing? No, okay.
For movies, we have 5. TV shows, we have 4.
Yeah.
Jeff usually hosts these, so just give me a free pass here.
We're
Okay.
going wheels off right off the bat. Here we go. Buckle up. But yeah, acting and cast in this one. Didn't really have, off the top of my head, I didn't make any notes on new characters that we really saw. I don't think there were too many. The rapport between Loki and Mobius, still great. Love that dynamic. Carried over from the first episode. And then we did get a little more of another character, which I really liked, in Ravonna Renslayer, who's played by, and I apologize, I'm probably butchering the name, but Gugu Mbatha Raw.
Yep.
But her scene with Owen Wilson was fantastic. I've got some other stuff to touch on that in theories and questions. But they had really good back and forth, really playful, which I think at the end of the day is kind of easy to do with Owen Wilson.
I was just about to say, does anybody not have chemistry with Owen Wilson? Because I'm pretty sure that's going to be the shorter list.
Yes, and
I've never met the guy, and I'm pretty sure I would have great chemistry with him.
Yeah, he's just, easygoing guy, easy to go along with. And that's a really cool person to throw in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because obviously seeing the trailers and all that, we've talked about this, is it going to fit? We should have known it's going to fit.
Of course it's going to fit.
Yeah, just because he's Owen Wilson, he's going to be chill. He's and like we said, he's playing Owen Wilson, and it's great.
Yeah, he's killing it. Honestly, what has he been in really the last 5-7 years? Not much, right?
Off the top of my head, the last thing I can remember is, him and Vince Vaughn were like interns at Google or something.
Yeah,
it was a while ago. He's done other stuff, but
right. So for him to basically just come off cold off the bench and just hitting it out of the park like this, and I think I said it last week, his chemistry with Tom Hiddleston when they weren't supposed to have chemistry was crazy. Now that they're supposed to have chemistry, or they're gaining that chemistry with each other, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and in your probably wildest dreams, you would never think of a situation or movie or genre that you would think, oh yeah, Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson are going to be in a scene together and acting, and they're going to be great. But this fucking fits it, and it's amazing. So glad that's carrying over. And like I said, shout out to Gugu Mbatha Raw. Really, really cool. A little character development with her, and kind of a little insight into maybe some background with her and Mobius. So I really liked her involvement in the episode.
I know we're not there yet, but honorable mention best scene, their scene in her chambers. Just kind of look, we're good friends, but obviously I'm the boss and you're not here. Here's the whiskey. The little joke with the rings on the table. Yeah. It all worked. Unfortunately for that scene, there were at least 2 better scenes, in my opinion. So before we get to that, let's move on. Story and plot. Nate, what are you thinking about this episode? Where they're going with it?
I'll just jump in for Horn since he usually does this. According to IMDb, the plot synopsis is
Didn't have
Mobius
pulled up.
puts Loki to work, but not everyone at the TVA is thrilled about the God of Mischief's presence, aka Ravonna Renslayer. She kind of expresses some reservations on that, but overall, really great. We get a little tickle, we get a little tease because we do get a glimpse of the variant at the end. More to come in questions and theories. But then we're leading on to what I'm assuming is kind of going to be a wild goose chase through different timelines, and hopefully some cool apocalyptic events happening. But like I said, they carried over their great dynamic between Hiddleston and Wilson, and it really moved everything along. And him kind of delving into finding out what the other Loki is about, and really seeing his mischievousness coming out again, because he's trying to play two sides at this time. Trying to fit in to get what he wants, but then also now he's interested in this variant. He's like really getting hung up. And I think we talked off pod about this, about people disregarding him as the less superior Loki, and that's really pissing him off now, which is going to be fun to see.
I think if there's any character in the MCU that really understands Loki, it has to be Morbius, right? The way that he is manipulating the manipulator to get what he ultimately wants, which is he wants to know everything he can essentially about Loki so that he can catch the variant, is incredible, right? Writing in this and the way that kind of everybody thinks that they're in charge, but at the end of the day, nobody's in charge of any of this is phenomenal. I can't say enough about it. Yeah.
Loki will think he's 10 steps ahead, and then Mobius will come back and be like, "Fuck you! I know what you're doing,
11.
and I'm gonna cover my back. I'm gonna cover my ass." And then Mobius will go to Renslayer, and she's like, "No, I've actually got the upper hand on you. I call the shots. I create these missions. That's why I approve these missions. That's why I get to keep the basically keepsakes and put them in my office." He's like, "Fair enough." So yeah, there's always someone behind the scenes.
And then on top of that, though, you have them always going back and going, "Oh yeah, well, what about the 3 space lizards? Right? They're your bosses." So like, there's always somebody ahead.
Yep. Which just put that in the back of your mind for theories and questions too.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely revisit that, I think. Let's just move on because I got a lot to talk about in theories and questions. So best scene. In my opinion, I think there are 2 best scenes. I'll let you go ahead first.
Perfect, because I think we talked off pod. The one
and you're gonna fucking take it.
Is well, at least you had 2 to cover your ass. So
I did.
The cafeteria scene where Loki is explaining what he finally figured out about where the Loki is hiding. Really, it was just kind of the pinnacle scene in the whole episode that kind of pushed it forward, because it gave them something to chase after that. So it had that purpose, and then it was just hilarious. They're back and forth again, and Owen Wilson just like saying, like, "You're ruining my lunch," like, and that's something that's relatable to a lot of people. Like, a lot of people, you just get that one break during the day and it's lunch and you really want to enjoy it, and now he's fucking it up. But there is a bigger purpose, because he's actually finding out where the Loki is hiding, and these different events throughout the timelines, and then it leads to them going to Vesuvius, which was a kind of cool, funny scene as well. But yeah, I had a lot of different things going on. Any scene with just those 2 having a dialogue is going to be amazing in my sense, because that's all we've seen so far, and they've put out gold. So, like I said, had that really moved the plot along.
You've got the little bit of extra comic relief with the guy from the first one.
Yeah.
Where he takes his milk and he's like, "You again?" Like, I have a feeling he's going to pop up every episode in like a small, I don't know if we can call it a cameo role. I guess it would be more of a recurring role, but just as like that dude that just keeps getting fucking picked on.
Yeah, I feel like he'll have like a huge part.
At some point, it's going to play
a small part. It'll be like a very small part of a scene, but what he does, or like he stumbles into a timeline with them and he wasn't supposed to be there.
It's gonna be a pivotal point in the series, I think.
Yep.
Mine is actually the follow-up to that, when they go to Pompeii, and he's like, "Okay, look, we can't like do too bad, because if you're wrong, like, you're gonna fuck up the timeline. And Loki's like, no, it's cool. I know I'm right.
Yeah.
And he just starts like throwing the goats around and like, you're all gonna die, we're all gonna die, and you see the volcano erupting in the background. That was kind of the point where I feel like Morbius and Loki's relationship became solidified. That was when Loki said, look, I am doing this for you. I'm truly trying to help you on this. And Owen Wilson's like, okay, cool. Or Morbius, I jump between those. The character and actor probably fucks people up. He's like, okay, fine, I'm gonna trust you on this, and that really kind of solidified their relationship, which leads me right into theories and questions. We're just gonna go right there.
Let's do it.
Question, and then I'll answer my question after you answer it. Do you think I'm a great fucking host? Do you think that Loki is going to keep running from the TVA, or do you think he is still going to be helping the TVA? Because obviously he went with who we're assuming is Lady Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a safe assumption?
That is one assumption.
Okay. But is it a safe one?
I mean, yeah, it's safe because it's what I think the show is wanting you to believe right now. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. All right, answer my question, then I'm going to need you to elaborate on that.
I'm trying to think. Oh, will the TVA keep chasing them? Is that what?
No, will Loki be helping the TVA, or is he gonna go rogue and be another variant just fucking shit up?
He's gonna subsequently help them, but I think there's gonna be some other mischievous things that pop up. And I think I kind of know where you're going with this, so I'm going to have you explain it because I think you've delved into this a little bit more than I have.
So when you're thinking about the character Loki, right? He only does things when it helps him. He's a good guy when it helps him, but then he's a bad guy when it also helps him. We see in Ragnarok, he kind of becomes this anti-hero, right? He really wants to do the right thing, but at the end of the day, it's still helping him, so he's cool with it. This is not the Loki in Ragnarok. This is the Loki that came straight from Avengers in 2012. You can only assume that those characters in those separate timelines are going to go across the same trajectory, which means Loki is going to turn into this anti-hero-like person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the entire time he is going to be helping the TVA or making these moves to get him back with the variant to the TVA. And like you said, full circle, mischievous motives. Ultimately, he's going to end up trying to infiltrate the sacred timeline creators, or whatever their names are.
The Timekeepers.
Timekeepers, thank you. I keep just wanting to call them space lizards.
Yeah, I think I wrote down somewhere in my notes TK, so I would remember. Yeah, the Timekeepers. But yeah, I think that's absolutely what's going to happen. He's going to have his own self-interest in mind, but subsequently, by just means justifying an end, it's going to help them out somehow. But he's not going to do it to help them out.
Right. So I need you to elaborate on this Lady Loki thing. So who else do you think it could be other than Lady Loki?
So this is from doing some research online and reading some articles. And I've probably said this before. I don't know a ton about the Marvel comics per se. And even with that being said, the movies and TV shows kind of pick and choose what they want to include in some of the comics. And this is super reaching out there, but apparently in one of the ending credits for in a foreign market, one of the credits at the end actually had the Lady Loki character Sophie Di Martino listed as or credited as Sylvie, which is from one of the comics. And there's the whole story where Ragnarok pops up again somewhere in Oklahoma, and long story short, Loki gives this person powers, and then they start using those powers. because I think they're an enchantress or something like that. But it's the exact name of someone Sylvie, so it's a stretch. But going back to what I was saying earlier, there's always someone kind of pulling the strings, someone else behind that you don't see. I feel like this Sylvie person or this Lady Loki, who we think is actually being moved around by Loki. He's still behind the scenes. This is just kind of his pawn. So we haven't actually seen the real variant yet. That would be too big of a reveal in episode 2.
For
I'm
sure.
like, oh, here it is.
Yeah.
So
I don't
haven't got
think
to
that
the main boss per se.
Right. This person is just maybe a horseman, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are middle management.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So obviously Horns couldn't join us today, but he did have a question that he wants us to answer, and I'm really glad that he posed this because I had the exact same thought. So Horns asked, when the TVA transports to the 1985 Renaissance Fair, was the woman who first sees them Agatha Harkness? She was completely unfazed by their tech and their helmets and kind of futuristic look. I totally thought it was.
I love this theory. They may try and play it off, and they may have just put this in there as kind of a red herring and like, oh, she didn't recognize it because they're at a Renaissance fair, so people are in costumes, and she's just like, those are the wrong costumes. What are you guys doing? But yeah, kind of just, I mean, she had like 2 lines and was in it for a minute, but her like kind of characteristics or how she was speaking kind of reminded me of Catherine Hahn.
I thought she kind of looked like Catherine Hahn.
Oh, absolutely. You still had that same look and everything. Yeah. So I was like, is this where they're going with this? I mean, that would be awesome, and they may just throw these little Easter eggs in there to keep us interested in everything. But there was her last line she said when they came back with Loki. I think it was then. Maybe just her last line in general. She said something like, some of us need this. And like, now I'm reading into it too much. I'm like, oh, she actually needs this as like a cover so she can be in the Renaissance Fair and like so she can dress how she normally dresses and she can blend in. Like, some people need this. And I was like, yeah. Started reading because you have to read into everything with Marvel. So
I agree. But I also think that you brought up a good point that, at least personally, I haven't considered this up to this point. When we talk about Marvel and the MCU, everything means something, right? And that has been proven time and time again in the movies. But we're in a different arena now. We're in the TV shows. And I think we really got burned on that on WandaVision.
Yeah.
Going, hey, everything means something. And then we come back and like, no, a lot of this doesn't fucking mean jack shit. Mm-hmm. And they're planting those red herrings to throw us off. So now, but then they kind of went back on it. We didn't really have a whole lot of those in Falcon and Winter Soldier. So now it's like, is this a red herring show? Is it not? What's real and what's not? I think that's what's really keeping me on my feet and really enjoying this so much.
Yeah. Regardless, I love the theory, and I love that just being brought up to think about.
I hope it's right. I really do.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Like maybe Loki feeds Agatha Harkness the idea of taking over Scarlet Witch or something like that. I don't know. Mm-hmm. That's for another day. One other thing that Horns had wrote in was a theory that he had. And it is Khan definitely is in charge of the TVA. Jonathan, I can't read his handwriting, but Majan, I believe, and I probably messed that up, said to Variety.com this week, when asked if his character was showing up in Loki, he said, quote, "I have no idea what you're talking about," end quote. And Jeff says, so not a no. Is that the way he took that picture was really hard to read, so I apologize for the.
Pretty sure it's Jonathan Majors. I'm looking at it now.
Majors, maybe. I can't. Yeah. Horns has the only person that has worse handwriting than Horns is myself, so you know. Yeah, I apologize, but you guys got the pictures of it. He was asked, "Are you showing up in Loki?" I don't know what you're talking about. So as Jeff said, that's not a no. Is he showing up, and is he in charge of the TVA?
So I think this has been discussed maybe off pod or previous episodes or previous episode. But doesn't Renslayer and Kang have some connection or something in the comics, or somewhere.
So yes, and to the Mandalorian. Fuck, the Mandarin. I'm getting all my shows mixed up. The Mandarin and the Ten Rings, they're all kind of interconnected.
Yeah.
So I think that it's definitely that he shows up. I think that there's a possible we may see all of our baddies throughout the next maybe 5 or 6 movies show up. I have a theory where whatever we'll call her the variant at this point, did, where she like reversed the reset charges, right?
Yeah.
And just completely fucked the timeline up. Are we going to start visiting all these little branches of the timelines? And maybe for an episode, we get a quick glimpse of a version of our bad guy from future movies, maybe Black Panther 2 or Captain Marvel 2, starting to see some of these other villains get introduced just as like a quick cameo part, and then they go back. And maybe that's a way that he is getting, maybe he has his own episode.
Yeah, they definitely set that possibility up with Loki and the unknown variant right now going off into that portal. And now, well, they're going to have to chase them because this is still their main objective, and they lost Loki, who was supposed to be helping them. So
it may still be, but they don't know.
They don't know. But they have, they're going to have to be chasing him now to find out. So I'm really excited to see, if they're going into like different apocalyptic areas, maybe with a culmination. I'm thinking it may get to this point where they actually get to Ragnarok and the destruction of Asgard and all that. That's kind of like the final one. Yeah,
I think it would be a missed opportunity if they didn't do Ragnarok again. Yeah. Right? I mean, I know we saw it in Thor Ragnarok, but to see it done in a different light and a malicious light now, where now you have the variant, which hell, maybe it's Hela. Who knows?
Yeah. And they kind of, I feel like they may have teased it a little bit because that was his first thing in the cafeteria scene where he's like, "Here, take me here." And he's like, "I'm not going to take you back there and you get to back with your people. I'm not an idiot." So he kind of put that thought out there already.
And that's the second episode. They mentioned Ragnarok in the last episode as well.
Yeah.
So is that what we're building
things together?
I don't know. What else you got, Nate?
We pretty much covered all the big things. But I think I had two kind of small things. Previous love story between Mobius and Ravonna?
100%.
Okay. I mean, you're getting those vibes.
Yes. They were high school sweethearts, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Maybe they got pregnant, lost the baby, and it just,
Would you have to go like dark really fast?
I mean, I don't know.
God.
I just feel like that's a good explanation of why we're still connected. We went through this traumatic event together, but like we just can't be intimate anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that would make sense.
I'm not wrong, but yeah, you are. You're right. It was kind of fucked up and very quick off the bat to go to.
Yeah, quick off the bat, they lost their baby. Yeah, okay.
Be a cute fucking baby, though.
I think so.
As long as it didn't get his nose.
I don't know if it was big before he broke it, but yeah, it may. I feel
like it's bigger now than it was like.
It may have been broken out of the womb. I don't know.
It's a hard landing.
It's a hard landing. Just shot him right out on the ground. Oops, it's slippery. Got a slippery one. Okay.
All right. You got anything else before we get too far down the hole?
Yeah, one other small one. So the timekeepers, we don't really know where they're at, but we've seen 2 statues of them. One in Ravonna's office, and then whenever they're going, I don't know where they're going. They're in the TVA, and in the elevator you see the big stone statues. I'm just wondering if there's a possibility of either of those 2 instances being one of them. Like they wake up at a certain time and they come to life or something, or if they're like just off in their own conference room somewhere else that no one else can see.
I think that they're in a penthouse conference room.
That makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think that the people that work for the TVA worship these 3 gods of gods, essentially. And
I didn't know if it was like a Mulan elder situation where they're all stoned, but then they come to life at certain points and make decisions.
Yeah, I mean,
that's kind of what I was thinking.
I'm not going to rule it out, honestly, but I think that the likelihood of that is pretty low.
Yeah. I was just going to throw it out there for shits and gigs.
Shits and gigs. Gigs and shits.
But
all right.
Those were my last few little questions and things I wanted to talk about.
Okay. That's all I got. So for Nate Thurman, I am the mad scientist, Brian Banner. You guys can check out all of our content on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. Hit that like and subscribe button there. Follow us on Twitter at Bro4Squad. That's 3 words. And you can check all of our stuff out, the squad blog included, on our website, www.bro4squad.com. Again, for Thurman, I am Brian Banner, and we will catch you guys in another Renaissance Festival.
In the next apocalyptic event.
Yes.
Hopefully.
I mean, I feel like there has to be an avalanche. Like, they got to go somewhere cold, right?
Ooh, maybe like an Everest disaster. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be crazy.
It already, this is just random because I have it on my screen, but Loki, already 9.1.